Gamers have been waiting for an Android gaming handheld with a slide-out display for some time now. Well, we finally have one with the aptly named Anbernic RG Slide. Let's check out how well the mechanism works, how it handles, and most importantly, how well it runs. The Anbernic RG Slide is available in two colours, black and white. When closed, it measures around 6.06 by 3.54 by 1.02 inches and weighs around 379 grams. It's quite thick, but not beyond fitting in your pocket. The sliding mechanism is smooth and feels quite strong, which is reassuring. You can slide it open with one finger or thumb, and it has a satisfying clunk when opened and closed. I've spent a while opening and closing and had no issues so far with any failure. On the front, we have a 4.7-inch LTPS touchscreen display with a 1280 by 960 resolution and up to 120Hz refresh rate. On either side are speakers and a pair of buttons for function and home. On the lower half, we have a D-pad, analog sticks and all the usual gaming buttons. The left side has a micro SD card reader to expand your storage. The bottom has a 3.5mm headphone port and USB Type-C port. You can use this port to charge the device as well as video output, but you cannot do both at the same time. On the right side we have a power button and volume buttons, and on the top are the left and right shoulder and trigger buttons. After spending some time with both Android games and emulators, the handheld feels nice to play on. However, I do feel it's a little top heavy and wants to fall backwards. It needs a little more weight on the bottom to balance it. The Anbernic RG Slide features the Unisoc T820 processor with Mali G57 GPU. We have seen it in other models such as the Anbernic RG Cube. It's a decent mid-range area processor and we will put it to the test with some benchmarks coming up. There's 8GB of LPDDR4X RAM and 128GB of built-in UFS 2.2 type storage, and you can of course expand the storage with a micro SD card up to 2TB. For communications, there is Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 5.0. The 5000 mAh rechargeable battery will get you around the usual 6 hours on average usage. We ran the Antutu benchmark on a loop with the highest performance settings at full brightness. We got around 3 hours 50 minutes battery life. Whilst running the benchmarks, we also tested fan noise and temperatures. On the highest fan setting we got 53 decibels and around 46 decibels on average. And for temperatures we got a highest of around 44 degrees C, so it runs fairly quiet and cool. As with all Android devices, we've run some benchmarks to get an idea of the performance and also to compare it with other devices. These include the premium, lower end performing AYANEO Pocket Micro, along with the higher priced and performance Pocket Ace and Odin 2 Portal. For the Wildlife Extreme benchmarks, we do see lower scores than the RG Cube, which has the same processor. On Slingshot, the scores are well within the margin of error. It has a nice lead on the Pocket Micro, and the high-end devices blow all of the scores out of the water here. With the Geekbench 5 and 6 scores, we see good results for both single and multi-core when compared with the RG Cube. Again, we see higher scores for the Pocket Micro, and over double the scores for the Odin 2 and Pocket Ace. With the Antutu benchmark, which assesses many factors of an Android device, we see the Slide just ahead of the Cube. The Pocket Micro is not massively far behind though, and of course the higher end models enjoy scores of more than those three devices combined. Overall, we see expected results for the RG Slide around those of the RG Cube. In terms of price versus performance, the RG Slide costs around the same as the AYANEO Pocket Micro, so we do see excellent value there. The Odin 2 Portal is around 30% more expensive, but we do see a noticeable increase in performance. The Pocket Ace and S are upwards of 100% more expensive, but do of course see the current highest benchmark results on Android handhelds. The Anbernic RG Slide has a standard default home screen, which is perfectly fine for organising and locating all of your apps. If you're into retro gaming, then the RG Launcher is a quick and easy way to get your classic game collection sorted and presentable in easy to locate console categories. Top marks here. In the settings menus, you can access the device performance and fan control options, and located in the system settings, you can control the refresh rate with auto, 60, 90 and 120 Hz as required. In the main settings, you have the functions to test the controls, custom fan configuration and how the sliding controls the power. You can have it slide to wake and hibernate, or remain on, or a mix of those. A recent addition to Anbernic devices is their AI app. You would almost feel like they have thrown this in to take advantage of the AI trend, but there is one kind of useful feature. You can translate text on screen to another language. This is quite useful for, say, Japanese games that may not have an English translation, for example. The translation takes a few seconds, and you do manually have to choose when to translate. It's not quite accurate, but it's a great concept and I hope to see this improved on. Despite the 4:3 aspect ratio screen, the RG Slide remains very playable with a number of games self-adjusting to reflect this. Even 16:9 aspect ratio games are not too bad. We had no issues with games that support gamepads, all worked and ran great. And for games that do not support gamepads, you can use the built-in screen mapping software which works perfectly. It is very easy to configure per game, and you can even download pre-made profiles for popular games. As this is a mid-range handheld, we know roughly where it can reach in terms of widely playable emulators. All of your classic consoles, right up to the PlayStation 1 era, will run great. You can enjoy PlayStation games with graphics tweaks, including setting rendering resolutions to 4x to match the slide's resolution. And the same for Dreamcast. You can increase the rendering resolution for higher quality visuals. For the Citra emulator, you will overall see good performance. On the more demanding games, you may get some occasional shader cache lag, but nothing that's really game breaking. As we move up to the more demanding PlayStation 2, we do see some games with performance drops. Our go-to game Outrun struggled to run at even lower rendering resolutions. Other games fare better, it does depend on how demanding the game is. The Vita emulator enjoys a bit more success. Compatible games can be playable depending on how demanding they are. The lower demanding TXK runs great, whereas Street Fighter Cross Tekken will get anything between 30 to 50 frames per second, but it's not bad for a mid-range device. And now on to Ryujinx and its faults. Again, this is going to massively depend on how demanding the game is. Low demanding games can be quite playable, to be fair, but as you can see with Cruising Blast, we are getting around 40 frames per second. Using the turnip drivers and or lowering the rendering resolution with all supported emulators may improve performance a bit, but don't expect miracles and have high demanding games playable. So, how does the Anbernic RG Slide fare against its competitors? In terms of design, the slide-out display is something new to an Android handheld. I have to say, for the first attempt, Anbernic seems to have done a great job with it. So far, I've no complaints about the mechanism or worries about if it's going to break. It feels well made and sturdy. I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit thinner, but it does remain pocketable. In terms of performance, we saw good results compared with the RG Cube, and far higher performance than the similar priced AYANEO Pocket Micro. If you want to spend more for higher performance devices, the option is there with the Odin 2 and the Pocket Ace. But do keep in mind you are only going to see improved performance for the high-end emulators at a potentially 100% price difference. The Anbernic RG Slide is a great option if you are on the move often. You can store it in your pockets, for example, without having to worry about analog sticks getting stuck or broken. The 4:3 aspect ratio display may not be for everyone, but for the majority of the consoles and computers this handheld supports, it does it very well. You can learn more and order the Anbernic RG Slide from us at DroiX. Visit droix.co.uk, droix.eu and droix.net for UK, EU and worldwide shipping respectively. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to help keep this channel growing, and you won't miss out on our next video. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.